Think you know everything about the history of collectors? Kings, bankers, scientists, and even prime ministers have built incredible collections throughout history. But some of the stories you've heard aren't exactly true. Today, we're putting your knowledge to the test. This is a 10-question fact or fiction challenge. I'll give you a statement. You decide, is it fact or fiction? Keep track of your score, no Googling. Let's begin. Question 1. The first collectors in history were ancient kings who stored rare treasures in palace vaults. The answer is fact. Many of the earliest collectors were rulers from ancient civilizations. Kings in Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Persia gathered rare objects from across their empires. These collections included statues, rare stones, exotic animal remains, and historical artifacts. One of the most famous examples is Princess Enigaldi of Babylon, who created what historians believe was the world's first museum around 530 BC. Her collection even included labels explaining each artifact. In other words, collecting history was already being preserved thousands of years ago. Question 2. Ancient Romans collected Greek statues mainly as financial investments. The answer is fiction. Romans absolutely collected Greek sculptures, but not as investments. Instead, owning Greek art symbolized education, culture, and power. Rome elites decorated their villas with statues from Greece to demonstrate their sophistication. Many sculptures were actually brought back as war trophies. To Romans, collecting wasn't about profit, it was about prestige and intellectual status. Question 3. Paintings made an artist the world's first private collector. The answer is fiction. Artists themselves weren't the first private collectors. However, artists did play a major role in the rise of art collecting during the Renaissance. Wealthy patrons began buying paintings to display culture and influence. Families like the Medici in Florence built massive art collections. These collections eventually helped create the foundations for modern museums. But the earliest collectors were still royalty and powerful elites. Question 4. Benjamin Franklin had a collection of rare seashells. The answer is fiction. Benjamin Franklin collected many things, but seashells weren't one of them. Franklin was fascinated by science, books, inventions, and printing. His personal library became one of the largest collections in colonial America. In fact, Franklin helped establish America's first subscription library in 1731. So while he wasn't collecting shells, he was collecting something just as valuable: knowledge. Question 5. The modern concept of museums started with private collections. The answer is fact. Before public museums existed, wealthy collectors displayed their artifacts in private rooms called cabinets of curiosity. These rooms contained fossils, ancient artifacts, rare animals, scientific instruments, and artworks. Visitors would tour these collections to explore the wonders of the world. Over time, many of these private collections were donated or transformed into public institutions, which means the modern museum was born directly from private collectors. You're halfway through. How many have you gotten right so far? If you're at 5 out of 5, impressive. Most people miss at least 2 by now. Let's see how you finish. Question 6. Charles Darwin once had a collection of tropical birds. The answer is fiction. Darwin did collect specimens, but mostly insects, fossils, plants, and geological samples. During his voyage on the HMS Beagle, Darwin gathered thousands of biological specimens. Birds were important to his research, but he wasn't collecting them as trophies. He studied them scientifically, particularly the famous Galapagos finches, which helped shape his theory of evolution. Question 7. William Randolph Hearst built a castle to display his collections. The answer is fact. Media tycoon William Randolph Hearst was one of history's most famous collectors. He purchased entire European ceilings, statues, tapestries, and historical artifacts. To house them, he built the massive Hearst Castle in California. At one point, his collection included over 25,000 artifacts and artworks. It was essentially a private museum, and one of the most extravagant collections ever assembled. Question 8. Banker J.P. Morgan collected rare Stradivarius violins. The answer is fact. J.P. Morgan was one of the greatest collectors of the Gilded Age. His collection included rare manuscripts, art, and musical instruments. Among his prized possessions were Stradivarius violins, considered the finest instruments ever made. Some of these violins are worth tens of millions of dollars today. Morgan's entire collection eventually helped create the famous Morgan Library and Museum in New York. Question 9. Baseball cards were originally created as cigarette promotions. The answer is fact. In the late 1800s, tobacco companies inserted baseball cards into cigarette packs. The cards served two purposes. They protected the cigarette packs and advertised the brand. Soon collectors began trading them. One of the rarest examples is the 1909 Honus Wagner card, which has sold for millions of dollars at auction. What started as advertising became one of the world's biggest collectibles markets. This is the final question, and it surprises most people. Question 10. Winston Churchill collected antique toy soldiers as a hobby. The answer is fact. Winston Churchill loved toy soldiers from childhood. As an adult, he even commissioned custom sets representing historical battles. These miniature armies helped Churchill visualize military strategy. At one point, his collection included thousands of soldiers. For Churchill, collecting wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifelong fascination with history and warfare. So, what was your final score? Comment your result below. If you scored 8 or higher, you know your stuff. If not, now you're smarter than before. Like and subscribe for next week's challenge, because knowledge isn't about what you assume, it's about what you can prove. And if you want to explore the incredible stories behind collectibles, visit Collectiblepedia, where the world of collecting comes to life.